Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the Denver Broncos and Carolina Panthers after it has just been announced that the Carolina Panthers are trading Teddy Bridgewater to the Denver Broncos in exchange for a 6th-round pick in the upcoming draft. But before getting to that topic, I want to question for those reviewing, especially the Broncos fans out there, do you think the Broncos will draft a quarterback in the first round of this NFL draft? Teddy Bridgewater could definitely have an influence on the route they take in the draft, which is just one day away. So comment down below. But getting into this topic, pretty, I don't want to say exciting news because it wasn't like a blockbuster trade. It's not like Teddy Bridgewater is going to roll into Denver and take this team to the playoffs. And it's not like the Panthers are going to take that 6th-round pick and draft the next Tom Brady. But overall, it is big enough news to at least have a conversation about and at least scramble off the top of my head what I do think it means for both teams. This obviously shows that the Panthers, they're all in on Sam Darnold if it wasn't obvious enough. And I like this Panthers team now that they got Sam Darnold. It shows they're 100% in on him. And I'm not saying the Jets were never in on him, but I feel like the Panthers are already more invested in Sam Darnold. They're already giving him a lot more help than he's ever had. He's going from a running back in New York that he had, Frank Gore, now to a top 3 running back in the NFL in Christian McCaffrey. He's got a good receiving core, Robbie Anderson, who he already has chemistry with, speedy DJ Moore, and then on defense, he has a team he can rely on, and newly assigned Hassan Reddick, up-and-coming Jeremy Chin. You signed Denzel Murray Jr. This is a pretty darn good team, or Denzel Perryman. This is a pretty darn good team in Trey Boston that Sam Darnold can work with, and it shows Teddy Bridgewater was not a part of the big picture. And for Denver, now I have a question mark. Will they be looking at a quarterback in the first round? I seriously thought they might be looking to land a Trey Lance and a Justin Fields if one of the two falls in their lap at number 9 overall. But now, do you want a quarterback room between Drew Lock, Teddy Bridgewater, and let's just say, for instance, just for the sake of the argument, Justin Fields, 3 potential guys that are all, I don't want to say worthy starters in the NFL, because I don't think Drew Lock is really a great quarterback, and Teddy Bridgewater really isn't a great quarterback either, but still, all 3 quarterbacks that are really debatable starters or really good backups. I don't think you want a crowded quarterback room to that extent. Of course, you want some power or star power on your quarterback depth chart, and you want a decent backup to rely on, kind of like a Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota type of roster, or a Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, and Mitch Trubisky being in the same depth chart. So you know if your quarterback goes down, your team isn't completely screwed. But do you really need 3 guys that you're not truly invested in all the way, or else you wouldn't have all 3? I'm not sure. I think the Broncos do need a quarterback. I am a fan of Trey Lance and Justin Fields if they can land either of the two, but this definitely throws a wrench into what they'll be looking at in this draft. And if they don't go quarterback, I'm not exactly sure what they'll be aiming for. Possibly O-line, maybe a cornerback. I mean, looking at their secondary, I'm a big fan of it. Kyle Fuller, Ronald Darby, Justin Simmons, Kareem Jackson, Bryce Callahan. But a couple of guys are on 1-year deals, such as Kyle Fuller. They may want to take a corner that they can invest in and keep over 4 or 5 years. That's a typical rookie contract, and they can let a Kyle Fuller after 1 year go. You take a Patrick Surtain or a J.C. Horn, and your secondary is locked for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Maybe they want to look at offensive linemen, so maybe they're set on Drew Lock and think he will be their future franchise guy, and maybe they want to get him an offensive lineman at number 9 overall. I think there's a relatively decent chance you could possibly land a Rashawn Slater. We could see Penei Sewell go to the Bengals at 5 or Rashawn Slater go to the Panthers at 8. But anything is possible. I would not be surprised if Rashawn Slater fell to 9 and the Broncos sweep him up to give Drew Lock a little bit of protection for his receivers, such as Cortland Sutton, Noah Fant, and Jerry Jeudy. And then in the backfield as well, Melvin Gordon could definitely use some run blocks as well. It's really up for debate. It's really confusing. I thought they were aiming for quarterback, but to me this kind of shows that they might not be, and they might think Drew Lock is our guy. And in Drew Lock's defense, he has had some inconsistent offenses to deal with, and he has had injuries amongst his team to deal with, not him himself, but his receiver's been hurt, his defense has been hurt, and he's never had a really consistent season that wasn't COVID or didn't have injuries, and he's never had a consistent offense. So maybe he's just scratching the surface, and he could turn things around like possibly Sam Darnold. If Sam Darnold could turn it around, maybe Drew Lock can. If Daniel Jones and the Giants could turn it around, maybe Drew Lock can. And I'm going to give Drew Lock the benefit of the doubt. And if the Panthers or the Broncos invest in him and get him a top tackle like a Rashawn Slater, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and hope for the best for him. I'm not a Broncos fan, but I don't want to see the Broncos just ruin their franchise by not taking the right guy and ruin it with Drew Lock. So I'm still of the opinion of taking a quarterback because I do believe in Justin Fields and I do believe in Trey Lance. I believe in Justin Fields' raw skill and raw talent. I think he's underrated to this point. I still think he should go number 3 to the Niners, so the Broncos could steal him at number 9. I'm going to take him, and even if he's not available, I'm a big fan of Trey Lance. He's a film junkie. We haven't seen a lot on him when it comes to his own film, but what we have seen is a lot. The dude, the one season he played, he had, I think it was 28 or 29 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That's a crazy statistic. I believe in either of those guys for the Broncos, but it seems like they're going a different route, and maybe they're just eating the cap on Teddy Bridgewater, and maybe they just want to have a backup just for the sake of it. Maybe they want to create more quarterback competition, and maybe they want to take a Justin Fields and have those 3 guys duel it out to bring out the absolute best of the winner, whoever it may be, Drew Lock, Teddy B, or Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whichever one it is. Maybe that is the route, and I just don't get that angle. I wouldn't want a crowded quarterback room like that where they're all relatively good guys that have good talent to at least be in the conversation for the starting job. That's just too much chaos. Kind of like the Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts thing, kind of like Tua and Fitzpatrick. It's good to have that quarterback depth chart, like I said before, but you don't want it to be the talent to be so close and neck that it just creates problems and ruins the consistency and ruins the pattern of having faith in your number 1 guy. To me, at this point, I would still go quarterback because I don't believe in Drew Lock, but I'm not the Denver Broncos. I don't see him every day. I don't see him at practice. I don't see his film. I don't see what they're brewing up in Denver, so I ain't going to give him the benefit of the doubt and trust Denver, if they believe in him, to possibly turn things around. It feels me, just based on what I'm seeing, I'm going on quarterback, and if that's not the route to go, I'm definitely probably going to be looking at offensive line or possibly trading back. That's always an option as well. Maybe if Rashawn Slater does fall, maybe another team wants to trade up and get him, such as the LA Chargers at 13. They might want to trade with Denver so they could go get a Rashawn Slater, or they may want to get another receiver. They have Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy and Noah Fant, but maybe they want a even better receiving core with the Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle and become one of the best receiving cores in the NFL. If the Broncos want to go neck and neck with the Chiefs, if they want to stand any chance against the Chiefs in that type of division, you do need an X factor type of player, and a receiver or a cornerback could really help them. But of course, offensive line, you can't go wrong there as well, keeping your quarterback safe. As far as the Panthers go, like I said, this just shows they're investing in Sam Darnold, and I do think with them moving off of Teddy B, it's confirmed they're going to be investing in Sam Darnold when it comes to the draft as well, and at number 8 overall, possibly getting him alignments such as Rashawn Slater or Penei Sewell if he falls. I doubt he'll fall to 8, but who knows? Or get him a receiver, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. I do think both of these teams are going to go similar routes. I think the Panthers seem to be investing in Sam Darnold. I think the Broncos will be investing in Drew Lock, and I think they're going to go for whichever one the other doesn't. If the Panthers pass on Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, I expect the Broncos to pick up Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, but vice versa. I think they're going to go similar routes and invest in the quarterback room they have and just trying to up their offense and up their defense with an X-factor player, whether it be a receiver, a corner, a lineman, a pass rusher, whatever it may be. But it's still exciting to see that Sam Darnold has finally been given the chance for a franchise to trust him and give him the help he needs. And it's cool to see that the Broncos, it seems like they think Drew Lock is their guy and we're investing in him all the way. Yeah, there's great quarterbacks in the draft, but we already got one and we're going to surround them with even more talent. But of course, guys, excuse me, comment down below your thoughts. What do you think of this trade? Excuse me. Do you think Sam Darnold will turn things around? Do you think Drew Lock will turn things around? And who do you think the Broncos will draft in the first round? Comment down below. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. 2-minute warning.